hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
Yes, sir, know the truth.
Yes, sir, know the truth.
They can't lie to you.
They can't lie to you.
Hey, hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
We left that church,
We left that church.
and this is how it goes.
This is how it goes.
My reverend, there when I left.
You're right.
Pastor was there when I left.
You're right.
Preacher, there when I left.
You're right.
The elder was there when I left.
You're right.
Hey, hey, Nolan Wells.
Hey, hey, Nolan Wells.
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 Yes, sir, Nolan Wells.
Yes, sir, Nolan Wells.
And 200 years.
Hey, 200 years.
Yes, sir, Nolan Wells.
Yes, sir, Nolan Wells.
1619.
1619.
Yes, sir, here we go.
Yes, sir, here we go. Hey, hey, Nolan Wells. Yes, sir, know the truth. You're right. You're right.
Nolan Xavier Wells will be laid to rest on Monday, July 20th at Centerpoint Church in Springs, Mississippi. Visitation is from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and the funeral will begin at 11 a.m. If you're going to show your respect, please be on time. Nolan Wells' parents, they want to celebrate his life. So, I'm sorry. Nolan's death is just one of many that we have witnessed. 28-year-old Jared Jackson, who attended a festival with white friends, was found hung. And 18-year-old Daniel Irving went swimming with 2 white boys and drowned even though he was a swimmer. And they covered that shit up. I don't want to cover any more speculation about Nolan's death. I just can't do it. That's why I haven't posted an update. Because at the end of the day, this is still somebody's child. All of these black men, young black men have been taken. And they try to deem it a suicide. They try to say we take our own lives. They really. We got to start watching out for each other more. And we got to stop trusting these white folks. And I don't care who gets mad at me saying that. At the end of the day, they're going to choose them before they choose anybody else. And we're just going to be deemed another suicide. My heart goes out to Nolan Wells' parents, to Jared Jackson's parents, and to Daniel Irving's parents. Because those men, those boys could be my brother, my cousin, a close friend. And I don't know how I would be able to cope if that would happen to me. So parents, it's time to get extra tight with your children no matter how old they are. Because times are getting dangerous for us. And nobody's going to protect us but us.
All right, we got some major breaking news in the Nolan Wells case. The GPS data that was on the boat was just released, and it was founded by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Now, what they found out is the vessel that Nolan and his friends were on left Mississippi at 9:54 a.m. and arrived at Horn Island at around 11:14 a.m. And they are 100% sure that Nolan was on that boat. Now, according to that GPS data, they know that the vessel, the boat, left Horn Island at 4:31 p.m., returning to its original destination. Now, pay close attention to this. It then traveled into Fort Bayou at around 5:52 p.m. and then returned to its dock at 6:06 p.m. Now, in case you're not the best at math, that's 14 minutes. Later that evening, the boat went from Fort Bayou at 7:19 p.m., traveled overland to the boat owner's location or the residence. Now, law enforcement has said that the boys that were with Nolan Wells that were traveling to Horn Island with him have cooperated fully with the police, including one of the guy's mother who was in charge of the boat or the boat owner. What happened in those 14 minutes, though?
You mentioned earlier there are some contradictions.
Yes.
What gives you confidence or perhaps concern about the investigation so far?
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats of argument where you had Nolan and somebody yelling at one another on the boat. So that's the issue. And then you have the young lady make a statement and she says, well, Nolan and I finished talking and Nolan said he was going back to the boat. And then the boys on the boat said, no, Nolan told them he was going to stay with her. And so they are conflicting. She's saying he went and got on the boat. They saying he didn't get on the boat. So which is it? And all we know is Nolan is dead.
New evidence has just come out in the Nolan Wells case that proves that he was murdered by those three men. There was a pool party that took place after the island, and you can see clearly in Evan's Instagram post, Nolan is there. Witnesses have put out statements saying that an altercation took place between Nolan, Evan, and two other boys, and the boys proceeded to beat Nolan to death with a metal bar and urinate on him. And all those people there watched and did nothing about it. They are no better than the people that killed him. The reason that Nolan's phone pinged on the island is because they went back and they dumped his body after they killed him. These men need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law because they murdered Nolan Wells. Nolan Wells was murdered. Say his name.
Wait, major update on Nolan. So you're telling me the news and police lied that Nolan's friends did not give back his phone to the mom. The mom had to track the phone down and go to the friend house and make them give the phone back.
Honestly, for both instances, it was a runaround because she had issues getting his phone as well. And she ended up calling me, and I think I spoke with her mother. She put me on speakerphone, and I was like, hey, yes, I'm Christine, I'm Nolan's mom. You need his phone, we're trying to find him.
Where both his Snapchats have been wiped of everything that happened that day in conversation. Then they lied about not knowing where Nolan's car keys was to the where they homegirl said, Cap, the keys is on top of the Xbox. She seen him put it there. And his homeboys had to go get it. The dad took a boat to the island on July 5th to try to find his body. They could not find it. He went missing July 4th. But he magically appeared July 6th? There were people on the island and all. No one seen a body float. But on July 6th, when no one was there, that's when the body appeared? Yo, do you think we stupid? Yo, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what Mississippi Sheriff Department got going on. But at this point, a higher power needs to investigate this. Bring the FBI or private investigators. Because clearly the Sheriff Department got some other means.
Good morning. I'm Attorney Ben Crow, along with Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Eric Hurts, Justin Preston, and Cliff Jones. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. We have present with us his mother and father, Christine and Elmore. We've just had an opportunity to meet with District Attorney Angel McElgrath and some members of her team. We had a very respectful meeting. The thing I assume some of you may know, the thing to announce, she shared with the family that there will be a grand jury that she will turn this case over to once they have collected all the information and finished their investigation. We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hurts is helping lead the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone download. So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has. We also talked about trying to make sure we dot every I and cross every T. I know that we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day from people who were there on Horn Island, people who are familiar with individuals that were there on Horn Island. And so we continue to be steadfast in trying to get to the truth of why Nolan Wells is dead. At this time, we'll have Attorney Hurts say a few words, and then Christine and Elmore would just talk about the homegoing services in celebration for Nolan, and then we'll take a few of your questions.
So you mean to tell me the FBI is now getting involved in this Nolan Wells case? We got a few updates, you guys. The FBI are getting involved because they said Horns Island is federal property, okay? So they're going to be involved in this case. Now, does that mean that we believe that they are really here to get justice for a young black man? I don't know, okay? Second thing I wanted to talk about, there is a person by the name of Traxton Shepard who is trying to debunk the photo that's going around of a pool party, basically stating, oh, that happened weeks before, and stating that he was Nolan Wells, one of his best friends, and all this stuff, saying we didn't do anything wrong. Couple of things. The mother came out and said, best friend is a stretch because we don't know you. We ain't never met you. You've never been over our house. No sleepovers, no grown-up birthday party pictures, nothing like that. Like, I don't know where best friend came from, but that's crazy. My second thing about this is, why are these kids allowed to speak on TV and on these news stations right now? Why are they doing that? Why are they able to speak and talk about things and talk about Nolan, X, Y, and Z? I don't know about y'all, but I've not seen that happen before. I've never seen that happen before. Maybe it's just me. But that seems very strange why people are so quick to come out and say, oh, I knew him, this is my friend, da-da-da-da, this is what happened, X, Y, and Z. It sounds like people are trying to put information out there to confuse the public, so nobody is out there thinking that the friends had anything to do with it. I just feel like this is just, it's a lot going on. We're still waiting on the autopsy report. And yeah, y'all, these are the updates.
Because our hearts go out to the family of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, who died after vanishing on a boat trip with friends on the 4th of July. Right now, it's an active police investigation that we are watching very closely. We are watching this very closely.
Welcome back to the Freedom Room, your trusted source for breaking news, current events, and in-depth commentary. In today's video, we'll be taking a closer look at the mysterious death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, whose disappearance during a 4th of July boat trip has raised serious questions and sparked growing public concern. As investigators continue searching for answers, many people are asking what really happened on Horns Island that day. Stay with us until the very end. Watch the following clips carefully, and after the clips, we'll come back with our full commentary and analysis.
Did y'all hear one of Nolan's real friends speaking about what he believes happened? Listen to this.
I know that friend group that he was with is known for, I don't know if I can say this substance, but they're known for doing a certain substance. And, you know, some of us who have spoke to Nolan prior to the island date, we know that they were known for doing that substance. Another thing that we believe is, what if they peer pressured him into doing something? And again, with the mixture of alcohol and...
This is allegedly, y'all. This is allegedly. And Jesus just giving us his synopsis of what he feels. So allegedly, Jesus, you got to remember when you're getting on these panels, you got to say allegedly, because somebody will try to wrap you up.
Allegedly, coming from his friend group that knows him very well. I'm talking about teammates that played with him, went to school with him, and folks that see him every weekend. Allegedly, we believe that maybe something just didn't go the way they wanted it to. Maybe they were trying to have a little bit too much fun, and it was just a mistake that they covered up. But I know for a fact that friend group that they were with is known for a certain substance. So it does not surprise me whatsoever. And I'm almost certainly confident, allegedly, that there was that substance on that boat. I know we won't know till the body gets tested and all that, but, you know, it's what makes sense to me. I don't believe he tried to swim back to the island or anything like that. There's just a lot of things that doesn't make sense. Why did they leave him in the first place? Why didn't they make sure he had a ride home? If that was me and my friend group that I typically hang out with, I mean, Nolan, yes, was in that, but if it was me and my 4 close friends, I'm not leaving that island until I leave with my friend.
Exactly. Because why the fuck y'all didn't bring him back with y'all? If he went out there with y'all, he should have fucking came back with y'all. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like Nolan has 2 separate friend groups, his black friend group and his white friend group. And it sounds like the 2 friend groups didn't really fuck with each other, but Nolan fucked with both of those friend groups. He said they known to be on that shit, and they probably tried to get Nolan to try that shit, and either one, he wasn't going for it, and that's why they got to fighting, or two, he actually tried it and it went bad, and they trying to cover some shit up. But either way, the family is going to get to the bottom of this shit. They're going to do an autopsy, and they're going to find out if there's any substances in his system. They're going to find out if there was any blunt force trauma and exactly what the cause of death was. So regardless of if these motherfuckers is telling the truth or not, the truth is going to come out.
The way this country talks about black victims versus white victims is disgusting. Nolan Wells' body was found yesterday off the coast of Mississippi. If you didn't know, he was presumed missing and dead on July 4th. It is America's 250th birthday, and we're still dealing with this bullshit. He was celebrating with his friends for the 4th of July, and there's now circulating video that is going very viral of what looks to be him and his friends that he went with on the beach, and there's an argument. There's yelling happening. In the video, he looks to be very calmly standing still looking at his buddies. And somehow, the conversation is about his behavior. Why wasn't he on the boat? Was he drinking? Was he going from one boat to another? Now, I'm going to give you a scenario. It's kind of morbid, so stick with me, and trigger warning. If I show up dead, washed on a beach, my community of people where I was born are not going to go, well, how was Jake acting? Did he stay where he was supposed to? Did he start an argument with people? No, it's going to go, what the fuck? We have someone that would kill people out here? Jake, I love that guy. He plays for the football team. I'm just putting myself in Nolan's shoes. Nolan plays for the team. He's friends with those people. And the conversation is about his behavior. Just so frustrating. Like, racism is still alive and well just in the dialogue. Just in the dialogue. As simple as that. I just want this country to do better. And I see a future where we just stop with this bullshit and start going like, man, this kid was killed. Like, his on the 4th of July, he is celebrating with everyone. And he can't even do that. We can do better. We gotta do better. Oh, and apparently one of the friends' moms is a local judge. And if you think that will work in Nolan's favor, you clearly don't know anything about the history of young black men in this country. This isn't gonna go anywhere. We have to speak up about it.
This is the value of dead young black men. They can be used by civil rights terrorists to stir racial animus in America. Ben Crump yesterday started promoting his press conference about Nolan Wells.
We got his phone, but we don't know where he's at, and then he turns up dead?
There are so many contradictions. This is a dummy. What lawyer can barely communicate? There's a reason why Clarence Thomas isn't seen as some type of leader. Only ignoramuses get installed and promoted by the media as some sort of civil rights icon and leader.
Yeah, this shit with Nolan Wells, bro, first off, who the fuck gave us a report? Where the fuck did the report come from that they found his phone and gave it to his fucking parents, only for his parents to come out here and be like, no, we got it from his friend the next day? Yeah, that dude should be arrested, bro. You have video of him being like, give me my phone back. You have a dude gone missing, and then a dude has his phone and doesn't tell nobody? Like, hey, I got his phone. Yeah, you could arrest him for destruction of evidence. You could arrest him for theft just to get him wrapped up so you can press him. That's how you start investigations, bro. You start charging him with little shit to try to get to the big shit. So, what county we dealing with, bro? What police department? Who the fuck is investigating this shit, dude? Because it's already incompetent as fuck. I mean, we know why. But, yeah, that person should be arrested. Period. Right now.
So we now have an explanation for why Nolan Wells was left on Horn Island and was not taken back on the boat with his friends. As you know, he went with these friends to Horn Island, and the last time they saw him was about 3 p.m. on July 4th. Tons of people have been speculating, why did the friends just leave him? Why did they not look for him sooner? Well, this is Ashley Cole, a judge in Jackson County. Apparently, her son is one of the boys that were on that boat with Nolan. Apparently, she's also friends with the Wells family. Now, she came on to say that her son and that group of friends left on the boat around 4:30 p.m. because the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Now, it's also apparently been said that Nolan told the other friends that he would just hitch a ride back with some other people at another boat later in the evening. Now, she's also said that her son has been questioned by police. But here's the other thing. There's apparently a video circulating from that day as well that involved a heated argument. Now, there's no confirmation yet if Nolan was involved in this heated argument. We do know that at one point, one of the last people that he was seen speaking to was another female. We also know that his body was later found on the northwest tip of Horn Island on Monday. Now, the family still has a ton of unanswered questions, and they have hired an attorney. Ben Crump is that attorney and has taken over trying to help this family find some answers.
The clips you have watched explain how Nolan Wells disappeared during a boat trip with friends and how his tragic death has led to an ongoing investigation. Authorities say they are gathering all the facts before reaching any conclusions. While Nolan's family continue to seek answers about the circumstances surrounding his final hours, could this have been a tragic accident, or is there more to the story that investigators are still to uncover? What details do you think deserve more attention? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section below because we would love to hear your perspective. Keep watching the next set of clips, and afterward we'll return once again to break everything down and discuss the latest developments. Thank you. Stay tuned.
Well, 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 and welcome to another day in the racist ass United States. We've got an update coming from Mr. Benjamin Crump, the attorney hired by Nolan Wells' family. And this is what he said today. The phone, Nolan's phone that his friends who allegedly left him alive and well on the island took with them, well, they didn't just scrub their own internet history, dear. They felt the need to delete some text messages on Nolan's phone. I'm sure they were under the assumption that when you delete something off of a phone that it's gone, but that's not how it works, dear. It can be recovered. It can absolutely be recovered today, and I'm sure Mr. Benjamin Crump is going to do exactly that. I'm sure there will be a forensic autopsy on the telephone to see what messages they felt needed to be gone. When more updates come in, I will let you know. But it is very suspicious to me, the circumstances surrounding not just his death, but the phone. Why would you do that? Why would you delete things off of your friend's phone? And apparently, not coming from Mr. Crump today, but others out there in the everywheres, while a search and rescue mission was underway, his friends, they were just having lunch. They were not chipping in. And apparently, their excuse for this is that everybody already thinks.
So the latest update in the Nolan Wells case was that Ben Crump let us know that all of the evidence from the investigations are being turned over to a grand jury. Now, before I talk about what that means, I want to talk about the fact that there's a difference between activism and reporting. And that's important in a situation like this. When it comes to situations like this, we don't need reporting. We need activism because the mainstream media is always going to report with a bias. And what that means is that they're going to be quick to take the word of the people who tell you that there was no foul play involved in any of this. So while I understand that people were questioning why Ben Crump was putting out all kinds of evidence, you need to understand that there's a method to the madness. The method to the madness is to force people's hands to be able to tell us something. Because the more you put out there, the more they have to respond to. Because they can't just keep quiet and go with the fact that they believe he drowned. So now, not only does the private investigator that Ben Crump and the family hired have to make sure that every stone is turned over, they force the local authorities to have to do the same. So even if something comes up that is not perfect evidence, somebody still has to answer to it because it's being put out there. And now all of the evidence has to be passed over to a grand jury. That wouldn't have happened if they would have been able to just simply rule that there was no foul play and that he drowned. And I want to be crystal clear.
that the only way that evidence gets passed on to a grand jury is if the prosecutor in the community decides that there's enough evidence to potentially press criminal charges. One of the kids' mothers is a judge. Do you understand what I'm saying? So she knows the local prosecutor. It would have never been turned over to a grand jury. So now that it's being passed over to a grand jury, the grand jury gets to look at the evidence and decide if there's enough to move forward with pursuing criminal charges. And guess what? Ben Crump and his team are going to watch that process with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that what happened to Carmelo Anthony, which is that he was faced with a jury full of people that do not look like him, they're going to make sure that that does not happen in this case and that he is able to have a fair trial and we can really get the answers to what happened to him. This was never about reporting the facts that they told us. This was about forcing their hand and putting their feet to the fire to tell us what happened to Nolan Wells.
When I tell you the Nolan Wells case is going to be a tug-of-war investigation, baby, that's what I mean. Today, a press conference was held with Nolan Wells' parents, Ben Crump, and a DA's office. The lead investigator, along with Ben Crump, mutually agreed to extract information off of Nolan Wells' phone, so that's a good thing. Ben Crump also mentioned that there are now new witnesses that are stepping forward with their statements. And yeah, there may be a difference of timeline of events and perceptions, but you got some people that's saying, yeah, that's Nolan Wells' voice on that video, and you got some that's saying no. So what they're going to do is they're going to sift through all the information and come out with the truth. From the press asked Ben Crump a question pertaining to autopsy, and that shit took me out because he was like, I'm going to go ahead and let the doctors do what they need to do. And he's like, but they ain't got the autopsy back either, so I'm just going to say that. Basically saying, like, why would I show my hand if you ain't going to show yours? Not to mention that Nolan Wells' mom said they are giving a celebration of life for Nolan Wells and that she is more concerned about the family and friends attending. And then she said there will be media. So that's really it. Everything they said is pretty much like most of the stuff we already knew, but it still is a good thing to have insight on, further details. So, yeah.
Rihanna has reacted after Nolan Xavier Wells was found following his disappearance during a boat trip. Nolan was 18 years old and from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. He traveled to Horn Island with friends on July 4th, but when the group returned that evening, Nolan was no longer with them. His mother, Christine Wansley, pleaded for help online. 2 days later, he was found on Horn Island. His mom said the family is devastated and described Nolan as someone who always tried to make other people smile. Authorities have not yet released details and have said that the investigation is still ongoing. The case has raised a lot of questions online because some people believe that what happened could be racially motivated. Many people want to know how Nolan became separated from the group, why he was left behind, and exactly what happened during that trip. Now Rihanna has weighed in herself. Under a post about the case, she commented, "Heartbreaking. We need justice." To me, that response goes beyond simply offering condolences. She really wants it to be known that she fully supports his mom and believes the family deserves clear answers about what happened. But before you go, I want to know, what do you think needs to happen next in this investigation?
Now that you have seen the clips, we hope you had a better understanding of why the death of Nolan Wells has captured so much public attention. While investigators continue their work, many important questions remain unanswered, and Nolan's family is still hoping for clarity and justice. We will continue following this case and bringing you all major updates as they become available. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the Freedom Room, like this video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and share it with others. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.